Okay, let's get this started. I will preface this by saying I am a one-man show again today. I'll be running the board doing the podcast, and I will be live streaming to the YouTube channel. So if you comment here, I can probably read your comments, and I'll try to respond to them that way. But I'm not necessarily going to be able to respond to them by typing. So hey, Backbones just chimed in, commented, say, hey, that's good to be here. So I will try to respond to everything through the microphone, not on the keyboard, because I can't do it all at once. Not by myself, anyhow. So I think we're all good here. Let's get rolling.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, conceal carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the War Room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back once again. It is Sunday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. It's good to be back here today. Sarah joined us. Hey, Sarah. Just kind of hiding today. It's not super cold out, but it's in the 40s, and I think we're looking for 50s almost all of next week. So I'm really excited about that. So just kind of hiding away. I'm so done with winter. I'm ready for spring. I had a pretty good size permit class yesterday. And on the evening before Friday, we had this freak wind snowstorm thing roll in. And I had about 30 people signed up, and about half of them called up as soon as that storm hit. Literally, that storm lasted 20 minutes. But people saw snow, and that wind started blowing at about 45 miles an hour, and my phone just came alive. And a lot of people rescheduled to my class in March, which is quite all right. They can reschedule for that class in March. I moved them over, and then and then after that, I had about half the class, showed up. The other half didn't switch, and it was blowing and it was windy. And I gave them the option of coming back and shooting at a different time. And I think I'm at about 8 students decided they're going to come back and shoot when it gets warmer. And I don't say that I can blame them. We did shoot. There was some people that stayed to do the shooting portion. It wasn't that bad. They were tough though. There was a lot of cold fingers, especially after loading mags. Get to the point you can't feel your fingertips. It was a good day though. Had an enjoyable time. My buddy Henry and my buddy James, they showed up and they helped me out on the range, and that was a lot of fun. I always appreciate it when they can swing by and help me out. And then the law enforcement officer we used yesterday, Ken, showed up. He's helped me out a few times, and he always does a fantastic job. So he does a great job filling in whenever I need him to. Trying to think just by myself. You guys know when I'm by myself, I kind of talk really fast. I'll try to slow it down here. I tried to get kind of organized, have a lot going on, I was going to do this last night, so I'm a little behind. Got done with my class, and I was like, I got done with the class, and I was like, I'm tired. I'm cold. I just want to be done for today. I will say I have just noticed that actually I'm hearing something in the background, and I don't know if it's coming through the podcast or not. If it is, I apologize. My son, my 15-year-old son, I got him out of the house today to actually go do some chores. And so he's out there running the wood splitter. I hear that running behind my building. So hopefully that audio is not, it might be coming through. I can hear it. It might be coming through. If it is, I apologize for that, but I'm not going to interrupt the 15-year-old when I finally get him to do some work. We're just going to kind of let it happen. But enough of that. You guys tuned in not to hear me talk about my son and all the chores that I had to do today. But I've got some announcements I want to make actually some pretty exciting announcements. We all know, and I think it's like beating a dead horse. I talked about that 3-day class I went and took with TPC. Okay, cool. You can't hear it. Thank you. That's good. But I went and took that 3-day class with TPC, Tactical Performance Center. I went to Utah. Great class, learned a lot, absolutely love that. I will be back for sure. Well, out of nowhere, the beginning of the week, I get a message from them. On one of the instructors was messaging me, and they asked me if I would host them here at my range here in Idaho. My range is pretty small. I was pretty excited, but my range is pretty small. And I just got to thinking about it. I was like, I think they can fit that class in here. And so I sent them some dimensions of my range, some pictures of it, and they were all over it. They are on board to show up, to come. We got them scheduled. I'm just looking at the dates here. It's got a 3-day class. It's going to be August 20th, 21st, and 22nd. That's going to be a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. And I think they said they have enough room. They can take about 13 students. Now, their link that they create, which is where you go to sign up for this class, has not officially been posted yet. When it does, I guarantee you, when it does, I will be the first one to post it up. You'll see it all over the Facebook page, which you have not liked my Facebook page. Please head over, find me on Facebook if you're on Facebook, Patriot Defense. Like it. I'm also on Instagram. I believe it's Patriot Defense 13 on Instagram. So you can check me out there as well. I probably post way more on Facebook than I do Instagram just because links are hard. But I will definitely post up when they get their link how to sign up for that class. Really, really excited for them to show up. Honestly, I'm more or less just providing them a place to their class, but I'm excited to be able to be the outlet, to bring something like that to Southern Idaho. I think it is needed. I think new knowledge is needed, a new way of doing things, and that's definitely what they have to offer. So, what else has happened in the Patriot Defense world? Oh, I had my women's group. They meet every week. So they met last week, and we went through some more stuff. They are chomping at the bit. We're waiting for that time change here in a couple of weeks. They're chomping at the bit to get out and actually do some live fire on the range. But I can't say enough. What a great group of women. They have so much fun in there, and they're learning so much. And we just have an enjoyable time. Whenever they show up. So, one more thing, by the way, Patriot Defense here. We've been adding a lot of stuff. I've been adding a lot of stuff to Patriot Defense. I've been doing some thinking, and I've been doing some research. And I just purchased, and actually the last piece showed up today of all times. It was stuck in Nebraska for a while. And I don't know, I think it was FedEx delivered on a Sunday. Is that normal? Or were my prayers answered? Because I wanted this so bad. I wanted to get it up. I wanted to check it out. I wanted to use it. But I invested in a shooting simulator for my class. Now I'm really excited. I'm excited to set it up and check it out and see how I can use that and see how I can use it to benefit my classes. I mean, I have a few ideas right now. But it is fantastic. So I'll explain it just a little bit. And then once I dig into it, I will know more, but there's going to be lots of don't shoot scenarios, like almost kind of like law enforcement videos that you watch, and you actually have a firearm, right? I project it up on a screen. You actually have a firearm, a special firearm that shoots out an IR laser, that you can use. And you can make the decision whether or not you're going to shoot or don't shoot. I can set up a virtual range with targets, do all kinds of really cool stuff. Now, these firearms are really cool because they simulate like an airsoft gun, right? They fire an IR laser that you can't see, obviously, but they're with green grass. So they're powered with green gas. So that actually cycles the action when you squeeze the trigger, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I just got the software today. Everything else is set up, and I have not got a chance to play with it. Hopefully tomorrow. I was trying to get caught up on a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lady that has joined my women's group, but she cannot make it to the women's group because she actually lives in Wyoming. And so she has challenged me, and I am actually recording some sessions of the classes that I'm actually sending to her. So I struggled through doing that this morning. Kind of interesting, right? I'm not a big tech guy. I've got some GoPros, and I did the GoPros, talked to them for an hour, checked them out, and they was absolutely horrible. My audio was garbage. You couldn't hear anything. So I thought about it for a minute, and I whipped out the old iPhone. And I was able to mount that on the tripod, and actually it took really good video. So I created a couple of videos for her of some of the classes that she is missing out on. And now I have to figure out how to get it from me to her. I don't know. Maybe someone's got a suggestion. Maybe someone's more techie than me. I got to figure out how to put it on some kind of like hosting app and send it to her. I don't know that I want to throw it up on YouTube necessarily, right? It's kind of a monetary thing. So I don't know how to get it from me to her. I'm almost just like, maybe I'll just put it on the zip drive. I think it's too big to email. I don't know. I have to look. But I think I can just stick it on a zip drive, maybe just mail her a thumb drive, zip drive. I don't know what they call those things anymore. But anyhow, that's for me. That's for me to worry about, not you. So we shall move on, but I'm really excited about all the new stuff Patriot Defense has to offer this summer. I just real excited about it. Got another surprise, another announcement that I'm kind of holding close to my chest right now. I've got to get it kind of worked out and figure out exactly what I'm going to do with it, how I'm going to make it work. I haven't decided yet on that one. So once that's up and rolling, I will make the announcement here. I will jump in, though, and say that I did, we're going to get onto a main topic today, okay? And I've got a recording that we're going to play here in a little while, a little audio clip. But I got an article that I'm going to kind of read, be pulling information from, and I'm probably just going to read it because it's a long article and I don't remember it all. But I had a request. In fact, Sarah, she's up there. Sarah is listening or watching on YouTube, I guess. Hopefully she's watching and everything's functioning well. She sent me a message and wanted me to talk about a House bill or House resolution, HR 127, the one that I think it's Sheila Jackson Lee, I think is her name, that introduced. And, we've kind of touched on it here and there, but I haven't really delved into it like everybody else. Sometimes when we get big news stories like that, I jump all over them, right? Sometimes not so much. If I've got a lot of other stuff going on, I kind of, even though they're important, I tend to push them to the back burner. But if you guys want to hear my thoughts on it and what I think on it, I will definitely share those thoughts with you. So I look at it as every other gun bill. It's a big one, right? It's a big one. It's got lots going on. But until it actually happens, I know it's there and I pay attention to it and we try to stand up against it and do everything that we need to do. But I don't get super excited quite yet because how many gun bills, how many resolutions, how many all this stuff has come through or has been presented, right? We get all super excited about it and then nothing happens, right? We need to know it's there. We need to pay attention to it. We need to not just, sit around lollygagging by any means. We need to be aware of what's going on. But I don't get super excited about some of these things. But this bill is kind of a biggie, right? And we need to know about it. It's like I said, it's HR 127. And this is, I'm getting my information from an article from the Firearms Policy Coalition. So, it's going to be a good article, right? It's going to have all the good info. So let's see, the author of the HR 127 is Sheila Jackson Lee. I had that right. She's a Democrat from Texas. The summary of it, and then I'll go break this down as we go here. But it's good to point out, though, this bill has no co-sponsors as of yet, at least not that I could find online when I did a little research on it. No co-sponsors as of yet. So I think that's a good thing. It says the summary establishes a nationwide gun registry that is searchable by the general public, mandates licensing to own or possess a firearm, and requires a psychological evaluation prior to obtaining such a license, and institutes magazine and gun bans. All the key points, all the things that they've always ever wanted. That's in this HR 127. So let's keep an eye on this and let's break it down even further. Okay. So they're saying that HR 127, and it is, if you think about it, right, it's one of the most sweeping attacks ever on our Second Amendment rights. Okay. We're going to break this thing way down here, and I'm just going to kind of read the bullet points here. It's going to establish a publicly searchable gun registry containing your most private information. Because as of right now, I own firearms. I have a concealed carry permit. That's all supposed to be kept private. You still can't prove to me, even in a state that doesn't have a gun registry, you can't prove to me that when they do the background check on it, And I mean, someone's gonna get a hold of me, and they're gonna say, "Oh, no, you're wrong." But you still can't prove to me when I hit send after I fill out the next background, check. Where does that information go? I know the store, the person the place I purchased the gun, the FFL holder, keeps track of that. But you can't tell me it isn't logged away somewhere under my name. I'm naive, but I'm not that naive, right? I think it's still out there. So, but we obviously don't want any of that. So, next bullet point, would require you to petition an anti-gun attorney general for a license to possess firearms and ammunition. So you're going to have to get a license. You're going to have to ask them for a license. You're going to have to jump through hoops to get this license, right? It says that they are going to force you to obtain firearms insurance from the federal government at a cost of $800 per year. That's I can't afford that. Can you afford that? I'm just a simple-minded gun instructor, firearms instructor. There's no way I can afford that. I couldn't afford to be a firearms instructor if my wife didn't have a day job. So it's just going to ban numerous rifles, AR pistols, shotguns, 50 cal or greater ammo in any magazine with a capacity of 10 rounds. So there is your magazine capacity restrictions right there. So they pass that, they're instantly going to make almost everyone, a felon, right? That's going to be a felony. You're going to be in trouble. You're going to be breaking the law. It's going to slap gun owners with a mandatory minimum prison sentences and fines for so-called violations of this proposed legislation. And we will go down at the very end here, the very bottom of this article. And we will, I was looking at comments here, and we will break down what the fines are. I think we stated them on the last podcast, but I will go over them again. So let's see. HR 127 will establish a federal firearms registration system that's going to be accessible by federal, state, and local governments, including the military, even by the general public. So your neighbor, if they know how to use their computer, they're going to be able to look up and find out what you own. That's kind of scary, right? I don't want my neighbors knowing what I have and don't have. It's none of their business. It's going to track the make, the model, and serial number of all firearms, their owners, the dates that they were acquired, and wherever they are being stored. That's great for criminals, isn't it? Because the criminals aren't going to care about any of this stuff. They're just going to go in your house and take what they want anyhow. It's going to also track firearms loans, including the ID of the loan recipient, for how long it is being loaned out. The bill applies retroactively, so current firearms owners will have 3 months to supply their gun information to the federal government from the bill's effective date. 3 months. We got to all be in compliance. Are you going to be in compliance? Not sure if I will. We'll find out. Is absolutely crazy. So let's go down here. It says, what do I need to know about HR 127's licensing scheme? Okay. HR 127 will force you to beg the government for a costly permission slip in order to keep your firearms, the ones that you already own. In order to get this license from the Attorney General, who is, again, anti-gun, you would have to ask the anti-gun AG for a license. You would have to submit to a psychological examination to determine your mental fitness to own guns. I tell you what, we're all a little off, right? I mean, what's their criteria here? What determines whether or not you pass or fail the psychological examination? I mean, we've all gone through points in our life where maybe a loved one has died and we've felt down. Maybe we've had to talk to someone. Maybe we've gone through a divorce, right? And as soon as you go and talk to someone, is that a red flag that maybe they could say that there's issues there, even though there's not, that they could say there's issues there and keep you from owning a firearm. I remember, I think it was a few years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, up in northern Idaho, there was an older gentleman who had a hard time remembering to pay his bills. He was struggling with his finances, right? He was forgetting to pay him, or he couldn't pay them on time, or something was happening. And so he went to talk to someone. I don't know if it's through the VA or what it was, and he was trying to get someone to help him manage his finances, right, and get his bills paid. And they immediately, this is through the Obama, maybe something through the Obama administration, so it probably wasn't 3 years ago. It's probably a little further back than that. They were going to come in and take his firearms. They were going to try to deem him mentally incompetent, mentally unfit to be able to own firearms. And the local law enforcement, everyone stood up. People showed up to that gentleman's house and said, "You're not taking this guy's firearms. You're not doing it." And they never did end up taking them. So pretty interesting deal. It says, let's see. Oh, not only are they going to interview you, but they're going to interview your family members, including your spouse or even former spouse, about you and whether you should own firearms and your psychological competence. So did you get in a nasty divorce? You had a wife? That's not good. An ex-wife? That's not good. She doesn't like you. Guess what? She's not going to let you own firearms. They're going to go off her word. That's crazy. It says, unfortunately, though, your problems don't end there because only the person who is registered and licensed to possess those guns can possess them. Here's a simple scenario that could unfold under HR 127. Your anti-gun neighbor sees you hand your brother a firearm to go shoot at the range or go hunting. You could face 5 to 10 years in prison, $30,000 to $50,000 fine, or both. And your brother, he's going to go away for 15 to 25 years. And he's going to pay $75,000 to $150,000, either or both. My man, they're serious about this. They're serious about it. This is something we need to pay attention to. It says that the penalties under this bill are so extreme that owning an unregistered Glock 19 with 2 standard capacity magazines could put you away for life. Wow, that's everyone. You know how many guns that I have, semi-autos that have standard capacity magazines? Wow, I'm in big trouble. And we already talked about the $800 a year for firearms insurance. Absolutely insane. It says there is no grandfathering of magazines allowed under this bill. Instead, you have to pay tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars to the federal government if you're found to even possess these magazines. Crazy. This is crazy. So let's go ahead and let's go over all the consequences of breaking the laws in this HR 127. It says possess guns or ammo without license, 15 to 25 years in prison. $75,000 to $150,000 fine, or both. Transfer of firearm and ammo to unlicensed person, 10 to 15 years in prison, $50,000 to $75,000 fine, or both. Give guns or ammo to an unlicensed person, 5 to 10 years in prison, $30,000 to $50,000 fine, or both. Loan guns or ammo to an unlicensed person, just a $5,000 to $10,000 fine. It's absolutely insane. So, I saw another video and I just kind of read the title of it. It says, what do we do? What do we do to keep HR 127 from passing? How do we do this? How do we fight this unconstitutional gun grab? That's essentially what it is. I tell you what, and I always say this, I say this on the radio show that I do, you need to start local. You need to go to your city council, go to your county commissioners. You need to present them with some paper. You need to get not just one person. You need to get a group of people together. You need to present them with some paperwork and talk to them and see if they will go ahead and stand behind and sign something that is a Second Amendment resolution for your area, or a Second Amendment sanctuary city, or whatever they want to call it and word it. And you need to go ahead and try and do this. Even if your state has something like Idaho has, I think back in 2014, they passed a Second Amendment sanctuary a bill for the state of Idaho that says that, we will not enforce any unconstitutional this or that or anything like that comes against the Second Amendment. That's a good bill. They're actually fine-tuning that this year, and they've got another one. I don't know where it's at. I haven't checked on it lately, but they're trying to push it through that would actually make it so we couldn't hold law enforcement officers, we couldn't hold political leaders liable for jumping in and defending our rights from the feds if they come a knocking. So that's fantastic. But we also need to do this lower. We need to do this at the city level. We need to do this at the county level. Frankly, we need to do this at all levels, right? A lot of people will say, well, if your state has this, why do I need something like that? You need to show that this is where you stand and this is what you want done. I went and visited with one of our local city council members, and I spoke with him about this great guy. Great. And I encourage you, go get to know your city council people. Go get to know your county commissioners. Let them know where you stand. I think more often than not, people do not contact them. People do not talk to them. The ones that do are the people that are against what you want, right? We need to pay attention. We need to keep our eye on the ball. We need to let them know what we want done. They're here to work for us. But I took some time and I talked to this gentleman, and he told me, he goes, when I was elected to the city council, I had to raise my right hand. I had to swear that I would uphold the Constitution. And I was like, oh, great, you've done that. That's fantastic. He goes, not only that, Todd, he goes, not only did I have to do that when I was elected, we have to do that every week at the beginning of every single meeting. We raise our hand and our right hand, and we swear to uphold the Constitution and everything that goes along with it. And that includes the Second Amendment, right? So I was asking him, would you sign something like this? Where do you think this lies? He goes, honestly, he goes, we do this every week anyway. Why wouldn't we sign this? Why shouldn't we sign this? Now there's going to be some that are going to fight back. But for the average Joe that's going and is trying to get this done, what you need to realize is if your city councilman will not raise their right hand and will not sign this saying that he's going to uphold, or she or whoever, that they're going to uphold the Constitution and the legalities of it and the rights in the Constitution, your Second Amendment rights specifically right now, that they are lying. If they won't sign that and they don't want to do that, they are lying. They're lying every week before their meeting when they raise their right hand and swear to uphold the Constitution. Because that's all it is. We're just reaffirming that. We're reaffirming that. We're having them sign that and let us know where they stand. That's essentially all we're doing. They are letting us know where they stand, and they should not have a problem with that. And if they do, you know where they stand. And guess who's going to get voted out, or guess who should get voted out next time? We have got this in motion around here. I'm working on it for my local town. I know a few towns over, Twin Falls. We're going to actually all meet tomorrow night at one of the city council meetings, I believe. Nice, calm, and peaceful. And we're going to show up and let them know that we're serious about this. I know that they had a rally last week that I was unable to attend. And it was like quick 30-minute rally. We had a few people speak, a few people talk and chat. And it was absolutely fantastic. And you know what? That's the way it should be. We were peaceful. No one fought. It's time. There is a movement. We need to rise up. And when I say rise up, we do not need to rise up, with the card. It's not time to go to the cartridge box. We don't need to meet at City Park. It's not time for the Civil War. I think the Civil War is actually being started a few years back, if not a little longer, right? I think it's being fought with money. It's being fought in the news and the media and at social media. I don't think that it's going to go to guns. And I don't think that we want it to go to firearms because frankly, we're not ready for it. We have a hard enough time getting people to show up to a rally. There's no way you're going to get someone to show up with a firearm. But this is why we need to do this stuff. We need to try to head it off before it ever gets to that point. God help us, it ever gets to the point where we have to rise up with our firearms and start what we call the next Civil War or the Boogaloo or whatever the hell it is you want to call it. God help us if that ever happens. We need to try to head it off before it gets there, because none of us are ready for that. So get active locally and see what you guys can get rousted up. A lot of little towns here in Idaho are doing it. Every week there's one or two more that pop up, and I think this is kind of a deal that's catching on all across the U.S. and in states and cities and counties, and that's the way it needs to be. But that was a little bit of talk about HR 127. Now I found a guy on Facebook. I found a guy on YouTube, right? And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Now, I could have listened to this. I could have copied the notes down. I could have made them sound like they're my own, but I'm not going to do that. But Langley Outdoors Academy, that's the name of the guy's channel, Langley Outdoors Academy. And I kind of like listening to this guy. He's been following HR 127, and I've been checking out his videos all along the way. And so I borrowed some of his video. I gave him credit. I'm not claiming it as my own, but he's got a really interesting take on what's going on with HR 127 and kind of some stuff that he's been seeing lately. Now, this video that I'm going to play the audio on is just a week old, so it's pretty new. And he's got some good points. Whether or not they're valid, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. Makes sense to me, but no one really knows what's going on. But I'm going to go ahead and play this clip right now. You guys can take a listen and make the determination for yourself. Let's see here. Where is it? It's right there.
Of course, last week, or actually beginning of this week, Biden came out and said, I want Congress to pass extremely far left gun control measures. Okay, great. Whatever. That's not really putting a bill forward. That's not actually going to do anything legislatively. That's just him posturing from the podium. Okay. Now, here's where it's interesting. That was like on Monday or Tuesday of this past week. Jen Psaki, who is the press secretary of the president. Okay. Whatever. Keep it clean. She is being questioned about, hey, what's gun control going on by a lefty journalist who's like, when can we expect some gun control? Some common sense gun control measures, Jen. This mother. Okay, anyway. So her response was very, very telling. She came out with the standard line of, well, the president is committed to fighting the NRA and doing these things and doing gun, almost said control, but then she said common sense reforms. So she almost slipped up. But then she said something really, really telling, and this is important. She said, but the president has not ruled out executive action. Okay. That's extremely important, not because Biden could or could not do something, but it's incredibly important that she said this. So what this means, guys, for those of you who are just kind of coming into the channel, catching up and getting in the trenches with us, essentially that's signaling weakness. If you've got all the mandate and all the emphasis and you want to get rid of all these guns and these far left proposals, why do you need the executive order to do it if you've got Congress? You've got the House and you've got the Senate and you've got the mandate from the American people. Maybe because you don't have the mandate from the American people, but you don't want to say it, but you still want to appease the far left who wants to get rid of guns. I think that's called the old rock in a hard place, Jen. What do you got to say about that? Just saying. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. Honest to God, this is kind of where they're forecasting. Like if I'm reading the tea leaves and seeing what their behavior is pointing towards, it seems like they know that their far left agenda is not getting through the left Congress. Okay, that says something. So now he wants to talk about executive orders, executive actions. That way he did something to curb the violence and the epidemic of gun violence in America, but he didn't do it legislatively because they couldn't get it done. You see the game? Well, look at the actions I've done. I defeated the NRA again, but I passed no laws because I couldn't. It's a little game. So now, that is really telling. So now we've got the president of the United States saying, yeah, we might have to go executive action. Now, that's good for us in the following ways. One, nothing can be unilaterally done in a massive way to impact the Second Amendment. They can cut down trade imports. They can cut down lead imports. They can cut in gun imports. They can't impose taxes. They can't impose licenses. They can't make any gun illegal. So there's a lot of things they're limited on. And this is a good thing for the Second Amendment. But what do you guys think? Am I reading into something that's not there? Or are you guys kind of seeing where I'm going? Are you smelling what I'm stepping in, so to speak? But guys, thank you so much for your time. Until tomorrow, I'm Braden.
So that was Braden from Langdon Outdoors, and I actually kind of think he had a point. I'm not saying we still need to keep an eye on it, right? We're not out of the woods, but you know, if you're paying attention to everything that's going on, and you kind of like you quoted, reading the tea leaves a little bit, you know, why would he resort to going to executive action if he could do it the other way? That may mean that he can't do it the other way. He may not have the support that he thought that he had, or that, you know, he may not have the support, and he doesn't want to let on that he doesn't have that support. I don't know, man. This changes every day, and frankly, I do pay attention to this stuff. I get a little burned out on all this, any of this new stuff, and you got to pay attention to it. Okay, I don't need to, just immerse myself in it. Right, it'll ruin you. It'll sink you mentally. But we do have to keep an eye on it, so we know what's coming our way. So I'll keep an eye on this, and I'll give updates. It is the big thing, and I am so sorry that I didn't get it out early. Sarah, thanks for keeping me on track. I do appreciate that. Anytime you guys want to get a hold of me, if if you're on Facebook, you can message me on Facebook. You can find me under my Patriot Defense Facebook page. You can find me under, I'll give you my personal page too. It's Todd Eccles. Go to my personal page. Check it out if you want. Everyone else does. Be my friend. Check out what I do when I'm not doing Patriot Defense. You'll see a lot of running pictures and probably a lot of pictures about the meals that I make. If you eat plant-based, you might like that. If you like to eat a lot of meat, probably not so much, but you may not like the tacos I make. But anyhow, I'm really easy to get a hold of. I'd love to get someone on the podcast, some more guests, some listeners. I mean, I love having listeners on the podcast. You don't have to be here. You can live anywhere, and we just do it via phone call, right? I've taken a listener call from New York, and I plan on getting a hold of John and getting him back on here again. I know we talked to Tiger quite a bit, and he doesn't live here in Idaho. There's another listener that she made the mistake of finding me on Facebook. And thanks, Sarah. She made the mistake of finding me on Facebook. And I have kind of implied that I'm going to have her on the podcast here one of these days. So I'm just kind of letting it kind of set with her, letting her stew on it just a little bit. And when she's not paying attention, I will get her on the podcast. But if you want to get a hold of me, you certainly can. You can call me, you can text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. Call me, text me. I am by far one of the most accessible people on this planet. My phone is how I run my business. And even though I really don't make any money off the podcast, I do consider it part of my business. So get a hold of me. My phone is always in my pocket. I will even answer your phone call while I'm out on a run. CrossFit, I'm at CrossFit, you're asking too much, but I'm running. You can listen to me, have you breathe. I'll talk to you. I'll answer that phone call. I have no problems whatsoever. You can even email me at info@patriotdefense13.com. That's info@patriotdefense13.com. And there was another person who listens to the podcast, watches the podcast on YouTube. I think it was Backbones, and he commented on here. I am going to go ahead on the podcast version, and I'm going to fill out my notes a little bit better. And I need to get people to like the Patriot Defense Facebook page, because I would love, or YouTube, the YouTube channel. I'd love to get more people to follow, to subscribe to the Patriot Defense YouTube channel, because I eventually like to be able to do live videos from my phone, and I can't do that. So I couldn't do like a live video on the go from my phone unless I get a certain amount of followers or subscribers. And I know I'm never going to make a dime off of YouTube just because it's firearms content. So I don't think that's ever going to happen. And some of the stuff I say is not liked by a lot of people. But if you could share this page, if you could subscribe to it, go ahead and you can listen to the podcast. If you want to listen to the audio version, take it to work with you. Play it for all your friends at work, if that's allowed. You can find me on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all them, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find me. And once again, I apologize for this being kind of a short podcast. If I've got some time this week, maybe I'll throw up another one. And we'll get you going. I'll try to get all the gang here. I know Cajun Cowboy hasn't been on here for quite a while. I need to touch base with him, make sure he's still breathing. And I think he's just been real busy at work. So until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. And I am going to go play with the shooting simulator. I think I'm going to fire that up, see how that works. Maybe I'll do a video on that as well, or a podcast on that. I haven't decided what I'll do. Join me on Facebook, though, Patriot Defense Facebook page, because I do throw up live Facebook live videos for as long as they let me. Last time I got a few posted up. They went ahead and banned me for a while. So we'll see if that happens again. But until then, I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Okay, thanks for everyone joining me on YouTube Live. I really appreciate it. Sorry it was so short. We had a good signal today, and I hope I covered that HR 127 as good as kind of redid what everyone else on Facebook. Why do I keep saying Facebook? What everyone else on YouTube has done, but it's important to get it out there. And Sarah got me back in line, and I do appreciate that. And I do appreciate everyone that listens and views this. You guys have a great day. Bye.